The first gift of Christmas. It was winter on the island of New Florida, and snow was falling from the sky, and vehicles had to be really careful on the icy ground, because ice makes the ground slippery. Even women trains had to be careful on the icy rails, because they had big sandboxes which spread sand on the tracks to keep engines from slipping on. The reason why that is because they have gender operator products in the cab, and they press a button and then it spreads the sand on the tracks to avert wheels from slipping. Amtrak was really busy. It was taking people home to see their friends and families for Christmas, and it was being really useful indeed, with all the passengers on board who were going home for the holidays. One early afternoon, a BNSF freight train was on its way to New Florida. It was really long, with lots of engines that were orange, blue, black, and yellow. And inside the cars were gender products full of eggnog, enzyme juice, locomotive coal, Petri dish wagons, and lots of other things for the friends and families on New Florida. It was a long freight train of 175 cars. There sure was a lot, but the train carried on. It was massive. As the train went through the snow, the engineer controlled the cab as the freight cars clattered along the line. They were full of lots of special things. The products were filled, and the train went through the snow as the sand made the rails better. Header. One night, a Christmas train came to the island of Sodor. It was called the Christmas Express, which had lots of coaches, one engine in the front and one engine in the middle. It was a double draft because some of the wheels were overheated and the other engine suffered mechanical failure. So that's why Christmas is a time for being kind and giving presents. One night at Tidmouth Sheds, Becky, Randy, Jackie, and Nolia were in the sheds. "I can't wait for Santa to come," puffed James. And the engines slept in their sheds, thinking about Christmas. "My name is Waylon, and his name is Luca," said the big engine. Early the next morning, the sun came out. And the engines were really excited. "I can't wait to see what Santa brought us," Jackie said. "Me too," said Nolia. "Let's make train sounds and surprise Sir Topham Hatt," puffed Thomas, and the engines began. "Chugga chugga 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 choo choo! Chugga 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 choo choo!" They laughed. "Chugga chugga 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 choo choo!" The steam team laughed. "Choo choo! Quiet down!" yelled Sir Topham Hatt. Waylon and Luca were in the yard. A few minutes later, the women engines left Tidmouth Sheds and they steamed back to New Florida. "Let's get going," said Camille. Salty was at the docks. "I'm glad to see you, Waylon," Mr. Percival said. "I'm glad to see him too, sir," Salty said. "We have to get going with our Christmas train," Waylon said. And they steamed out of the docks. The big man train began to move. And then they steamed into the snowy countryside. "The preschool railers are nice to us," Waylon said. "They sure are," Luca said. And the train clattered down the track to make up for lost time to get to Notham Sheds. But they spoke too soon. A semi-flatbed truck was stuck on the tracks, and then he saw and the driver saw a train coming. He got out just in time. Waylon's driver slammed the brakes on, but the rails were too icy. Then it was too late. "I'm shivering," he said, and then he swerved all around off the tracks and into a snowdrift. Just then, Kirsten arrived to help the engines out of the snow. "Are you warm enough?" Kirsten asked. But before Waylon and Luca could answer, a snow slide came down right under their wheels. "My goodness," gasped Waylon. "Men trains don't let this happen like women trains do." Then it crashed right on top of Waylon's head. "I'm stuck," Waylon said. A few minutes later, Kirsten was buffered up to the freight cars, and she steamed backwards to the gender hub. Camille came to the rescue. "I'll have you back on the tracks in no time," she said, and she pulled Waylon and Luca back onto the rails. Early the next morning on Christmas morning, the preschool controllers were impressed. "You did a good job," they said. A few minutes later, the Amtrak Saluki came into view to pick up the passengers. "Good luck to Chicago," Alexia said, and the train rolled out of the station. With the Viewliner car in front and Superliner cars in the rear. Even though how much of a hero the women locomotives were, it really was the first gift of Christmas.